Hey everybody, welcome back to another WARNO video. Yesterday I showed off the 5th Panzerdivision, which I might have accidentally called the 9th or the 9th. Today we're gonna talk about the 7th Panzerdivision, the 7th Panzer tank division used or fielded by East Germany. Now, logistics, again, fairly whatever. You have 3 logistic vehicles, 2 supply vehicles, nothing really crazy. This is obviously new. I think that's a Czech truck or manufactured and produced by the Czechs, also used by East Germany, but who cares? Infantry. I'll show up in a second, but it's actually very similar to Wargame, where your infantry, or your line infantry, so to speak, right? The Murderschützen, they were not regulars but shock, right? For the only nation in Wargame that whose basic rifle squads were not line, right? They didn't have any. A similar thing is once again the case here, because the basic veterancy of all these squads, it's all on veteran, right? And that's fine and all, right? But the crazy part is actually that they come on, at least currently, right? This might not be final. They come at 9 per card, which is typically the availability on regular, right, or trained, but this is their veteran availability. So this is actually pretty crazy. But as per loadout, they have 2 MGs, whereas Soviet infantry typically only has 1, which is a big deal because MGs are strong. So that's quite a big difference. They have the RPG-7 VL, but it's not a VR with 20 AP. It still has 18 AP and 700 meters range. If we take a look at the... Let's do it like this. The VR, right? Only 500 meters range, but as I said, 20 AP. So not a bad trade-off, because the range is quite good, of course. And the Murderschützen coming in the BMPs, they're only 7 men, but still 2 MGs, which is a big deal. Murderschützen CV has, RPG-18. Pioneer CV has RPG-7 VL. Pioneers either with satchel charges or with flamethrowers. That's the first flamethrower thus far. There he is, but I think he's missing a backpack. Or is he carrying it? Oh no, that's the tank. Looks like it's a bit clipping into his butt. Anyway, 70 points, quite expensive. I haven't tested them yet, so I don't know how good they are. But, they are 70 points. And stat-wise, ridiculously accurate. Pretty good range for town fighting and forests. So we'll see how that goes. Panzerjäger, a double RPG-7 VR squad, which is honestly really cool. Honestly, I like it. You could probably do some nice micro as well, so you turn them off alternating if they have a lot of forest fighting against like IFVs or something to do. So that's honestly pretty cool. Definitely like to see that. I'm a fan that, and I hope that's on purpose, that they gone back. Yes, they seem to have gone back on displaying multiple weapons individually on stuff like this, right? On MGs, right, with like this, look at the Abrams, like 2 M240s on MGs or something like that, on like tanks, whatever, right? That doesn't really care. But I think on, as in this case, infantry or on rocket pods, I think it's definitely good to keep them separate. So again, you can do some nice micro if you want to. And you also get the SPG-9 and some basic trucks. Artillery, Gwastika and Akatsia, not new. RM-70, which is HE. Hard to say how good it is, because HE values here aren't really that... They're hard to, interpret. But as it should be probably, same rockets as the BM-21, so not that great. Rate of fire also seems to be the same, so essentially for 20 points you get a full extra load with you. That's basically it. Thanks. Now, lots of T-55A, they have a lot of availability. I'll show off the deck in a bit that I built in the meantime. Tank T-55A and, sorry, CV T-55A, normal T-55A. Once again, basically all the tanks you're gonna see, outside of maybe once we get some reserve divisions or something like that, using more or less very late ammunition, so you don't see... What's the AP on the T-55 in our game? 11 or something? So you have 16 AP here, not full range, but one step before that. The T-55A doesn't have a good accuracy. It does have a KPVT and PKT, so it's gonna be not too bad against infantry. Although the KPVT does like a bit of ammunition, so it's gonna run out pretty quickly. Horrible stabilizer, of course. Speed, not particularly fast when you compare this to T-72. How does the Leopard 2 actually compare? Leopard 2 is a speedy boy. What's the Abrams? 59. T-80 should be pretty fast, right? T-80U especially? Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's serviceable. And you have T-55 AM2. You get lots of T-55s, by the way, like lots of them. AM2, which upgraded, right? More armor, better gun, still 16 AP, but more range. Oh yeah, this one actually has 2 steps of ranges below the maximum range for tank guns. For some reason, it has more supply cost. I guess it actually kind of makes sense, balance-wise, I guess. But more accuracy, not a lot of, still a horrible stabilizer. Still KBVT, all that jazz. Aim to be with the Bastion missile. 18 AP, good range, not the best accuracy. Isn't it the same missile as the BMP-3? BMP-3 also only has 17. Didn't even pay attention to that. Then you have T-72s. Keep in mind that T-72s, their model is very much work in progress, or that's definitely gonna get fixed. Don't worry about that. Because right now it kind of looks like with the shiny lights here. I don't know if, again, maybe this is actually kind of realistic, but it really, I don't think it is. It really looks like almost as it could be like from a Command and Conquer type of game with a semi-futuristic kind of tank. It kind of looks sick, honestly. Anyway, T-72 GM, which is essentially M. Again, name might not be final. 12 armor, but 18 AP. Full range. Decent accuracy and stabilizer. Once again, KPVT and PKT. I'm surprised. Did they really have a KPVT? In Wargame, they didn't have them. Or is this supposed to be a 50 cal? Because in Wargame, they had 50 cals. Maybe they're all supposed to have 50 cals. They had the T-55s had the DISH, I think, and they had the NSVT. But who knows? And the T-72 M1, which essentially is the same, but more armor. Doesn't even lose any speed. And MTLB, which we already had, PTR-50 PK with a bit more armor and the 50 cal. And then you have the good old BMP-1s. We still have BMP-1s without the Malyutka. The Malyutka still costs 5 points, but 5 points in WARNO is of course worth a lot less than 5 points in Wargame. So you're probably gonna see most of these. For one, because the Malyutkas actually have acceptable range, accuracy, and AP. And yeah, not just for 1, but for 2 and 3 as well. Yeah, but 3 armor, same as armor in general. A lot of the armor values seem to be more or less copies from Wargame. Difference, for example, is that the T-72 M1 here has 3 top armor. In Wargame, I'm pretty sure it only has 2, unless you look at the M1 Wilk. But yeah, BMP-1s. Then we have a Flame T-55, which also doesn't carry HE rounds. Flamethrower, which this kind of looks like an ACOG scope from the side. I just noticed. Again, thus far though, no idea how strong it really is. Base T-72 as well. Doesn't have full range, but also has 18 AP and a bit less armor. In Wargame, it actually has. Did it have 10 or 11 armor in Wargame? Pretty sure it had 10. Then we have this we already had, SPW-70, whatever. Recon, BRDM-2. Okay, bunch of Aufklärer, a bunch of Recon squads, excuse me. Aufklärer heavy, just like Razvedka for 5 points. You get 8 points? You get 3 more men. Honestly, a good deal. Then you have Spezialaufklärer. For additional 5 points, you get another 2 men and a better AT weapon. Although a worse, well, possibly worse infantry primary weapon. Because you have less range, but a bit more damage. BRM-1, just like the Soviets do. Anti-air Kubernetes we've seen, Strela we've seen, Shilka we've seen. Strela Manpad, I'm pretty sure we have not seen, but this only has 3 HE, 30% accuracy. I mean, for the cost, it's probably not bad, but it's probably just not worth the slot. Helicopters. The M24s, definitely price does not seem final. This one is the 24D, which was the transport in Wargame, or just the M25 for North Korea in Wargame, of course. With the Falanga P, 16 AP, S5 rockets, and a Yak B. But for 5 points more, you get a different gun without a turret, but the Kokons and S80 FP rockets, or S8 OFP rockets. I always forget if it's, I think it's S8 OFP. MIT, we've seen MITV, like various rocket pod helos, you know, nothing special. Air. MiG-21 BIS. 4R60Ms, this first MiG-21s, I think, thus far. They're pretty speedy. Don't have very good ECM though. And we have a bomber version with 4 250 kg bombs, a rocket pod version with 2 different rockets, right? S13s, the big ones, a few of them, and multiple S5s. So it's gonna be interesting to see, because thus far, up until this patch, where the 5th Panzerdivision also gets a rocket pod plane, the only rocket pod planes thus far we've seen were the S25s, which again, they're a bit slow, and I haven't tested it on the current patch, but ever since 2 armor didn't reduce any incoming damage, they were not particularly good anymore. But this being very fast might be a very good plane. MiG-23 MF with some bombs. Say slightly lower payload as the SC-24M, I believe. Yep, SC-24M has 8 bombs, but it's a bit faster and it's better agility. So there's that, but worse ECM, of course. Anti-tank plane with some KH-29Ds. We also have nuts. Nee. We also have this one, which has KH-29Ts. Now, only looking at the missile, the difference is really only a bit of range. Obviously, it's on the SC-24, SC-22, which now is a good bit faster. Before it was 700 or something kmh. SC-22 also has better ECM, much better agility. It carries fewer L60s, but that's, I think nobody really cares about that. SC-22 M4P, just like in Wargame, a seatplane. Then we have more bomber versions of the SC-22 with 4 HE bombs, 4 cluster bombs, and 4 napalm bombs. But the interesting thing is, at least thus far, things might change, by the way. Of course, everything is work in progress, as you can see in the bottom left here. The availability of some of those planes is crazy. Like, get 4 base for all of these. Right, this is 2, this is 2, this is 4, 4, 4, 4. These are all 4, which might not be too good anymore, given that now they're actually fast, and you know, they have decent DCM. So yeah. And tank-wise, of course, also availability. You get 12 base T-55As, which is kind of crazy, because honestly, they might not be too bad, especially with the veterancy on Elite, 14 RPM. But hopefully, they're gonna go away with I really hope that every tank having 10 RPM is just a placeholder. Yeah. This one was much faster than the West German Division one. I don't know. Probably because I know a little bit less, or even less than I typically do. I have no artillery in here, I just noticed, but honestly, I don't know if it is particularly good. But I think the most interesting, or for now at least strongest part, is probably the infantry tab, actually. Getting everything on with good availability on such high veterancy could be pretty crazy. We'll see how that plays out. And of course, we'll see what changes, right? In any case, hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye-bye.